Unveiling Amazon's satellite revolution inside Project Kuiper's Florida hub. Imagine a world where every corner of the globe has access to fast, reliable internet. Sounds like a dream, right? But here's where it gets groundbreaking. Amazon is turning this vision into reality with Project Kuiper, a low Earth orbit LEO satellite network poised to revolutionize connectivity. And the heart of this ambitious endeavor lies in a massive, state-of-the-art facility in Florida, where the future of space-based internet is taking shape. Project Kuiper, Amazon's bold leap into space. Amazon's $140 million investment at Kennedy Space Center isn't just another facility. It's a 100,000 square foot hub designed to prepare satellites for the journey into orbit. This isn't your average warehouse. It's a high-tech powerhouse capable of supporting up to 3 simultaneous launch campaigns for Project Kuiper's satellite internet network. And this is the part most people miss. This facility isn't just about launching satellites. It's about bridging the digital divide for underserved communities worldwide. The logistics behind the launches. To date, Amazon has secured over 80 launches with industry giants like Arianespace, Blue Origin, SpaceX, and United Launch Alliance, ULA. Most of these missions will blast off from Cape Canaveral, making the Florida hub's location strategic. By having a dedicated payload processing facility nearby, Amazon streamlines the entire process, from satellite integration to encapsulation, cutting down time and ramping up efficiency. But here's the controversial part. As more companies race to dominate space-based internet, questions arise about orbital congestion and long-term sustainability. What's your take on this growing space economy? A facility like no other, the Florida hub has already proven its mettle, supporting SpaceX and ULA launches since its April debut. At full capacity, it can process over 100 satellites monthly, with a $19.5 million secondary site under construction to further accelerate operations. Steve Mateer, Vice President of Production Operations at Project Kuiper, puts it boldly: there's nothing else like it on the Space Coast. Picture this: 3 dispenser systems stacked with Kuiper satellites alongside fairings from rockets like Atlas V, Vulcan, New Glenn, and Falcon 9, all under one roof. It's a space enthusiast's dream come true. From factory floor to launchpad, the journey begins in Kirkland, Washington, where Amazon's satellite production factory churns out up to 5 satellites daily. Once built and tested, these satellites are transported to Florida, where the real magic happens. Inside the processing bay, technicians meticulously charge batteries, verify satellite health, and load krypton propellant, a critical step for safe operation in orbit. Satellites are then integrated into multi-level dispenser systems and encapsulated into rocket fairings, ready for their ascent. Economic ripple effects on the Space Coast. Beyond its technological marvels, Project Kuiper is a jobs powerhouse, creating over 130 positions on the Space Coast since 2024. But its impact doesn't stop there. Launch contracts support thousands of jobs and suppliers across the U.S., while joint investments with ULA are upgrading infrastructure for all Cape Canaveral users. Here's the bold question: is Amazon's investment in Florida a game changer for local economies, or is it just another corporate move? Share your thoughts below. A partnership for the future. The Brian Huseman, Amazon's Vice President for Public Policy and Community Engagement, emphasizes the project's broader mission. There is no better place than Florida's Space Coast to fulfill Kuiper's promise of bringing broadband to unserved and underserved communities. With long-term partnerships with Space Florida, NASA, Space Force, and local officials, Amazon is not just launching satellites, it's launching opportunities. But here's the counterpoint. As we celebrate this progress, should we also question the environmental and ethical implications of such large-scale space initiatives? Project Kuiper isn't just about satellites. It's about connecting the world one launch at a time. What do you think? Is this the future we need, or are there hidden costs overlooking? Let's start the conversation. Amazon Project Kuiper, ignoring 1,538 elephants in space. Imagine a room bustling with the anticipation of groundbreaking space technology discussions, yet a glaring issue remains conspicuously unaddressed. This was the scene at Amazon's HQ2 in suburban Washington, where the Space Foundation Innovate Space Global Economic Summit took place on July 22nd. Amazon Project Kuiper, a key player in the satellite internet arena, was in the spotlight, having been granted a prime opportunity to address the assembly. However, they strategically avoided discussing a critical challenge looming over their project. The elephant in the room, or rather 1,538 elephants, represents the daunting number of satellites that Project Kuiper is obligated to launch within the next 12 months. This formidable task is essential for meeting their first regulatory milestone, which involves deploying half of their Generation 1 constellation by July 30th, 2026. But here's where it gets controversial. The sheer scale and urgency of this undertaking raise questions about feasibility and potential impacts on space traffic and the environment. Project Kuiper's Generation 1 constellation is a pivotal part of their strategy to provide global broadband internet service. The plan involves a network of satellites orbiting Earth designed to offer high-speed internet access to underserved areas across the globe. The ambition is commendable, but the execution is fraught with challenges, not least of which is the tight timeline they face. And this is the part most people miss. The implications of such a massive satellite deployment are vast, affecting everything from orbital debris to international space regulations. The pressure to launch a large number of satellites quickly could lead to corners being cut, potentially increasing the risk of collisions or space junk. As we delve into the complexities of satellite constellations, one must wonder, is the rush to expand internet access putting our orbital environment at risk? Could there be alternative strategies that mitigate these risks while still achieving the desired outcomes? I invite you to share your thoughts and opinions on this matter. Do you think Project Kuiper can meet its ambitious goals without compromising safety and environmental standards? Let's discuss the potential risks and rewards of such a significant technological endeavor. Amazon's $139.5 million investment. Project Kuiper satellite launches accelerate. Amazon's $139.5 million investment in Florida is crucial for accelerating the launch pace of Project Kuiper, its ambitious 3,232 satellite internet constellation. The tech giant aims to establish a strong rhythm for deploying these satellites, with the Florida investment playing a pivotal role. Amazon's payload processing facility, that Kennedy Space Center, entered service in April, supporting the first operational launch on a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket. Brian Huseman, Amazon's VP for Public Policy and Community Engagement, expressed pride in the investments made in Florida, emphasizing their impact on the local community and customers worldwide. The 100,000 square foot PPF, located along Space Florida's launch and landing facility, prepares and stages satellites for launch. Amazon has purchased launches on over 80 rockets, with the majority liftoff from Kennedy Space Center or Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Steve Matei, VP of Production Operations at Project Kuiper, highlighted the critical role of Florida facilities in the process. The original $120 million facility is also receiving a $19.5 million support site, designed to increase Amazon's capability to process and store flight hardware, expected to be completed this year. Satellites are manufactured in Kirkland, Washington, and delivered to the PPF in Florida for battery charging, health checks, and fueling with krypton. They are then integrated into a multi-level dispenser system and housed in one of 3 encapsulation bays before being rolled out for launch. In 2024, there were 93 orbital launches between KSC and CCSFS, with the majority being SpaceX Starlink satellites. Brigadier General Kristen Thaingsen-Hagen noted the constraint on payload processing space as one of the biggest bottlenecks at the Cape and Vandenberg Space Force Base. The U.S. Space Force awarded a $77.5 million contract to Astrotech to expand its space vehicle processing footprint at Vandenberg by 2028. While a solution for the Cape hasn't been fully developed, Thaingsen-Hagen remains cautiously optimistic about receiving funding in 2025 to address the bottleneck.